All right, welcome to the Pretty Huge Dilemma podcast. I am the host, Jacob Barrett. This is episode number 2. I don't know how long it'll take until I stop saying what number podcast it is, but 2, pretty significant to me. I listened back to the first episode, learned a couple of things from it, learned that sometimes I drag my words on because I'm trying to figure out what word will come next in the sequence. I'm going to try to get better at that. I learned I say a number of times. That might just be a personal pet peeve of mine when I hear that, but it is something that happens in podcasts. I'm not going to go through, cut all of them out, leave them in there. That makes it more authentic, the authenticity of it, which I don't have anything to hide. And I want this podcast to be the real me, not hiding too many things. Some personal things I'll keep to myself, obviously, but other things like the way I talk, words I use, filler words I use, English, I'm just going to leave it as it is and hope I get better along the way. Other things that I learned from the podcast is I still don't like hearing the sound of my voice. I mentioned in there, still not it. The way I listen to the podcast, I did the car check. So a lot of the times when I listen to podcasts, it's in the car, driving to and from work, going around listening to podcasts while I run errands. So I did that, kind of similar to what they did in The Rocker with Rainn Wilson, where he's an old drummer and joins a band with Emma Watson. And after they make a song, he's like, all right, time to go. I forget what he calls the name of the test, but they drive around the car. Goes, if you can listen to the car with no windows down, then you have a hit. That's what I did. I don't know if I would call it a hit, but it did happen. Because I listened to it in the car, I didn't pay too much attention to the visualization of it. But one thing that I wanted to probably fix, I think it would be an improvement, is not have the camera so close to me. I knew that going in, if I had it super close, it might look like a hostage type video. That's also why I picked this type background. With this one, I kind of moved it back. You still see the decorative Christmas tree. I should probably move it because the window from that door is making a lot of light on the screen. That's probably annoying. Let me move that. If I place it correctly, those bull horns will line up with the top of my head, and that would be interesting to see that to be pretty high up from the right angle, but from here you can't see my bookshelf with all the books that I've definitely read. Books are mostly nonfiction type books, money, biographies. I don't know if there are any fictional ones on there. I don't think so. I haven't bought fictional books, so I'm starting to read them more, but I get them from the library because there are a few books that I would read multiple times. It takes a good bit for me to decide to read a book again. Like once you read the book the first time, yeah, you'll learn things the second time. But if it's like a drama book, a mystery book, reading that a second time, you're not as captivated by, oh, what's going to happen? What's this character going to do? What's going to happen here? Similar thing with drama TV shows like Breaking Bad. It's a good show, great show. But watching it a second time, I would be as surprised. I might pick up things that I didn't see the first time. Like, oh, I forget that happened. But overall, it's the same thing's going to happen. Walter's going to get into problems. He's going to fight the cartel. He's going to make a bunch of money. His wife's going to be annoying, not like that. But overall, it's going to be the same thing. Other things I learned from listening to it, I probably need to improve the microphone I'm using. I think for the first one, I used the microphone that was set up in my computer, one that's built in. I think for this one, I think I'm using the headphones one this time. I think so. I don't know if that'll change much to the audio. I think if I'm going to continue to do this, continue to try it out, I should probably invest in at least a basic microphone. They're not too expensive. The ones I looked at were around like 50 to $80. That wouldn't be too much. I'd have to figure out how to exactly hide that from my wife. She doesn't know I'm doing this right now, which I'll get more into that later. But other things I learned, because I didn't watch the video of it, I assume the video could probably use some improvement. Again, that's not much of an upgrade. It's just a matter of if I want to put money into that and if I think this will continue to go more and more. I sent the podcast to a couple people, told them not, well, not told, asked them to not tell people. I'm not sure if that happens. They might have told their significant others, but they didn't give me any feedback on it. So I assume it went perfect, or they didn't listen to it because it went much longer than I thought it would. It went an hour and 20 minutes without any edits, which I don't think I'll edit anything out of it. I'll probably add some logos to it, like a watermark in one of these corners, and my new social media handles. The social media handles are PH Dilemma Pod. That was not too difficult to make. I think I made them business accounts because this is a business rather than a personal account. It wasn't too difficult. I think I made a YouTube channel too. So I made sure I locked those down. But I just made an Instagram account and an X account, X/Twitter account. And those are PH Dilemma Pod. There was a character limit, so I couldn't put the entire thing on it, just PH Dilemma Pod, which I think is not too difficult to put on there rather than just putting pretty huge pod or huge dilemma pod PH, because then you also get the PhD in there, which that was one of the reasons I picked that name for it. So it went longer than I thought it would. This one, I do have a timer out. I'll try not to look down at it, which I sometimes do when the timer's out. I just look at it, count it down when I'm working out, when I'm running. When I'm running, I check my watch too often, I think, when I'm running. So I stopped running with that on because I would just look at it every couple minutes. I think to myself, oh, that's definitely a mile done. It would be barely half a mile done. So I have a timer going. I'll try not to look down on it. My notes this episode I have on my phone instead of written down. My phone is easier. I was able to take things throughout the week and just put down small ideas, sentences, one or two things down on it. But also, what I noticed, it kind of happened in the first episode, it's definitely happening now, is I think to myself about one of the notes I wrote down. Then I try to figure out, oh, could I talk for a little bit about this? Could I talk for more than just what the note says? When I start doing podcasts in my head. From other podcasts, sometimes when they're co-hosts together, they won't talk to each other. They'll tell them, oh, save it for the podcast. But for me, saving it for the podcast is just thinking. So I started saying to myself, oh, don't go too far down this hole, save it for the podcast. But on the other hand, these are just my thoughts. Am I supposed to not have thoughts throughout the week? Maybe. Maybe I'll make it fresher. But I try not to do that too much. I pretty much just try to have a couple sentences after I wrote the note down so that I remember what it meant. Because last week there were a couple things I read or couldn't read, and I couldn't make anything out of it because I didn't know what it said. This week I have some topics. They're not too crazy. They might be. Maybe they're super controversial, but not to me. That's maybe that's how I'll get this thing going. Just have a bunch of controversies. Some of them are complaints. I'll try not to have too many of them complaints about things. I don't want to sound too critical, always badgering other people, thinking how things could be better. But some of them are just ideas, wondering if other people have had these issues other than me, these other thoughts, these complaints, and maybe they have and they can relate to it. As I said earlier, I do have a wife. I'll try not to make this too much of a woman haters club. Shout out Little Rascals. That was a movie when I couldn't fall asleep at night. My mom we would go to the family room, put on Little Rascals, and we'd watch it until I got sleepy enough where I would fall asleep. And I thought it was funny. I always think about Woman Haters Club. Not always, but sometimes I do. Woman Haters Club. It's funny. I don't know, it's a realistic thing of, oh, we don't want any women in this group. We just want a boys group, just hang out. Man, they were, I don't know if it was ahead of their time, but I th I think it was ahead of their time because they're so far ahead of not wanting women and things, which thinking about it, that's not ahead of their time. There are multiple groups that wanted that, but they just were so little. That would probably be ahead of their time because they were so little about it. They weren't some old men who were set in their ways. They were these little kids and just didn't want any girls in their group. Yeah, married. She doesn't know about this. I should probably let her know before I release episode one. That would probably be a good idea. But uh, like like I mentioned previously, this is not some official thing. Oh, I'm definitely doing this. It's I want to see what happens, and she'll know when she knows. I don't think she could be a co-host with me. Uh, Talking to her, I get frustrated sometimes. It's hard because sometimes I say things that, oh, this happened because this happened. This is going to happen because this happened, and something doesn't connect. I don't know if that's her, all women, all people besides me. And I think that might be the first sexist comment. I don't even know if that was. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I couldn't have her as a host. Maybe one of these times I'll have her on, talk with her about it, talk about how we met. But that's a matter of if she wants to do that, if she wants her name out there. Probably just refer to her as my wife until I talk with her about it. And if she decides I can say her name, I don't know. I don't think anonymity, that maybe she wants that. Probably be a good idea for her. Probably a good idea for me, but want to try this out and see what happens. Okay. So topic ideas I have. Okay. So the first one, last week, thinking about if I'm going to be on video, how my appearance is going to be. Like mentioned previously, backed up the camera, got the microphone. That's just basic, not spending money on it yet. Probably will upgrade that at some point soon. The shirt, last week I tried on multiple outfits. Could I do a t-shirt? I don't know. Are there too many logos on it? People, I don't know, too many logos on it, too distracting. I thought a lot of podcasts, a lot of stand-up comedians, when they do their shows, they just have plain shirts, plain colors. That's what I tried to do last week. But I tried on multiple things. Tried on black sweatshirts, like hooded sweatshirt, too relaxed so far. Maybe in the future, when it's more relaxing, I'll try that. But this week again, just plain shirt, nothing on it. But I do think I need to get a haircut. I'm going to see some of my family soon. The haircut, I get stressed every time. Stressed, no, not anxious, but not necessarily looking forward to getting a haircut. Typically, I've just gone to Great Clips to have them give a haircut. It has been the same person because I don't go regularly. I think it's about once every 3 months I go get a cut. So it's not the same person. It's just who's ever there. I don't have a set day, whenever I have time, but it's not a great experience for me. I mean, they do a fine job. I usually try to get somewhat of a fade haircut. It's not super like crazy, just a basic thing. If I go there, I never know what length to tell them. They hold up, they ask, "Oh, is this enough?" I don't know, sure, but it's not a great experience. It's fine. I don't pay that much for it, so that's probably a part of it. But I think I'm gonna go to a more local barbershop. I referred to it by someone that I go to church with. He said, "Oh, my barber's in that area. Why don't you go to him?" So I think I'm gonna try that out. I think they might be cash only, so that makes me think it's a good place to go. Cash only, upstanding people, hardworking, good at their job. So I'll see how that goes. Hopefully it goes well. Usually with any haircut I've gotten previously, it takes a couple days for it not to be crazy, not even crazy, just more like grown in. I think that's how it is most haircuts. Or it's just I get used to how I look from it. But for the barber, and I think there might be other jobs this works for too, is having a Tinder type thing for barbers. I think that would help relieve some of the stress of it, where you see some of their profile, some of where they work from, their previous clients, and it's all just right there. Say, oh, this one looks interesting. This one doesn't. Oh, this one, I might test this one out. But I think that's just Google and their websites. But it takes too much work to go through all these websites. Some of them have better ones set up than other ones. But I think having a Tinder type thing for barbers to make it easier just to have it all in that one place. Like, I need this, I need a barber. Perhaps I might have just had that idea because I don't know. Do I miss being on dating apps? Maybe that's part of it. Just the rush, just thinking, oh, this person looks interesting, and then seeing if they think the same thing, and just having conversations where they don't necessarily go anywhere, but it's just funny to see what you can say to them. I think that's how most of my interactions went, is not taking it too seriously and just saying things that either make me funny or if I'm around other people. I probably did too much of that, is playing it as a game and being around other people and saying, oh, look at this person. What should I say? What would be a funny line to say? I think that might just be a part of it why I had this idea, because there could be other areas this could go to. Restaurants, that's not as personalized. Usually it's harder for them to put everything on their menu on there. But other places where this could go, maybe uh, handymen, people who make things around the house. But I think that also might be, I don't know what TaskRabbit is like. I think that might have ones where you find specific people, pay them based on what you want to pay them and what their ranges are. But TaskRabbit, I haven't had to do any of that yet. I haven't had too serious of things where we need to get fixed around here. But if things start breaking around here, I don't think I'm the guy to fix that. I'm not manly enough to do that. Hands aren't doing manual labor like that, aren't fixing pipes, not doing plumbing, not doing electrical work. My dad didn't do much of that. I wasn't taught it, didn't search to go and do that kind of work. I took a single metals class in high school. That's not helping with home improvement type things. That was mainly, what did we even make? We made a couple things out of metal. We made a pooper scooper, made a screwdriver. That was a longer process because we were supposed to heat it up and hammer it like a screwdriver. That was probably the most fun part. Other things we made a bottle opener type thing. It was like a multi-tool thing. That's not too helpful in home improvements. Let me spend a second. What other areas could that be? Cleaners. That's similar to handymen. Yeah, I think it could be because Bumble has the option where you can do it for businesses where you can search on there. I think I never use that. That'd be a crazy place to find a job. It's on Bumble. Bumble has the best friends on there, which I never went on there either. That was also something I didn't think to go on, like the business part of it. The Tinder friends part of it. Oh, how'd you guys meet? We have friends. Oh, I met in elementary school, grew up together. All his friends I met in college. Oh, how'd you two meet? Oh, we met on Bumble. That's a weird thing to say, which they would probably try to hide it. Couples try to do, but they have that option. So maybe they could expand it to other areas, other service type things, or different one, which I've had some problems with is mechanics. They probably also wouldn't make it. With the mechanics I've dealt with, if they're making Tinder profiles, they might not be the best mechanics out there. Because good mechanics, they don't advertise, they're barely on the internet. That might be an area where it would help. Also with mechanics, I have no idea what prices of things should be. I had to get new tires recently. I just went to the tire place. They told me, oh yeah, you definitely need all of these. Some of them, the tires you have are cracked. They could explode at any moment if you went on the interstate, drove too fast for too long. They asked me, what kind of tires do you want? Do you want the low? They last 20,000 miles. The mid range, they last around 40, or the high end expensive lasts up to 60. I told him, give me the middle range. And he asked, oh, what do you want, this brand, this brand, this brand? I had no idea. I probably should have researched it before going in there, but I didn't do that. I just told him, give me the middle range. I didn't know what it was supposed to cost. I think having that Tinder option for other areas probably be helpful because you can see what they're into. But again, that just sounds like Google things. The helpfulness would be all clean in one place. Okay, what do I have next? Okay, so I am searching for gifts for people around this time of year. Some will get them maybe before Christmas, someone might get them after, and that kind of time capsule this episode a little bit, but that's okay. When it gets released, it'll be released, and most things will be topical still. But searching for things for gifts, I'm searching for gifts for men that are between the ages of 25 and around 40. I usually Google lists of things that give just ideas of what this person might want because there are a whole bunch of options out there. So I Google what to give men between 25 and 40, and I go through a couple lists. Almost all of them are just filled with decanters, knives, and cigars. I don't know. I don't think I know anyone right now who has a decanter. There's some pretty cool looking ones out there. There's one where it's a AK-47, other ones where there's a globe, and other cool glass shaped ones. But I don't know how many decanters they think these people are buying. Every single list, there are multiple on there. Oh, get this shaped decanter. Oh, get it etched with this. There are so many decanters on there, it's not too helpful for them. But I think I'm a pretty good gift giver. I get things that are pretty unique for them, but they're not gay gifts. I kind of stopped doing that because after a certain age, gay gifts, people are going to get them, maybe laugh for a little bit. I would laugh if I saw them open it, but because I don't live with them anymore, I kind of ship things straight to their apartments, their houses. And they just open it on their own, so maybe they laugh. So the gift might not even get a single laugh out of it. If I sent a gay type gift, like one gift I saw was a tumbler that was in the shape of a bullet. So I don't know how tall it was. Online, it could be any shape. But it was a tumbler where the top of it would come off and then it'd be, yeah, just basic water bottle tumbler inside it. So that was pretty cool. But I don't think if I sent it to someone, they would regularly use it. So it'd just be sitting in their kitchen cabinet somewhere. So I stopped sending those type gifts, but I try to send unique gifts, things they'll use, not just basic clothing items, not something that they'll just put in their garage. For some of the gifts, you don't know what you might send them. I thought about sending a bocce ball set to one person, but then it went through my mind, oh, this bocce ball set might just sit in their garage. But the other part of me thought, oh, maybe we'll use this bocce ball set, use it with their significant other when there's bored on a nice day, don't want to really do anything exciting, but want to be outside. So I might keep that as an idea for someone. But a lot of the lists they have for men, they're not helpful. They have a bunch of massagers on there. They list them, oh, get this neck massager, back massager, but it's not too helpful. I don't know how many knives they think people are getting. There are a lot of weapons on there, which those are cool, but how many does unless they collect that item, I don't know how many they need of that. So, okay. So this past week, I gotta get better transitions. Like, oh, manly things, cool things. Oh, this past week I went and saw Sam Talent. Because I've seen Sam Talent once before in person. So he was in the area again at a different comedy club. So I went and saw him. He's get every time I've seen him, he's been fun. He was funnier this time than he was last time. I've watched his special on YouTube, Toad's Morale, multiple times. I think it's hilarious. So I went and saw him again with a couple of my friends. The funny part about him was he went seamlessly between interacting with the crowd and making jokes, riffs off that. And I think some of his work that just his stories and jokes that are just like set things. But that was the weird thing about it. I don't know what he said was like a set thing that he was working to get towards and say, and other things that he just said off the top of his head. But it was really funny. He was making fun of the club area. There was some open, they had one of those rooms where it's just like open in the top, not to the elements, but like the tubing and the air conditioning. He would hit the top to be like, "Oh, don't you guys love seeing this tubing?" And then he would just stare up and look at that. And anyone else, you would just look at them funny and think, "Why are you mentioning this? That's not funny at all." But he was able to say it in a way, transition to it where it was hilarious to see. Got a picture with them afterwards. He's as big in person as he is online. Talked to him about his new book that he's got coming up. Excited to read that. I read his first book, Running the Light. It was funny because definitely haven't lived that life. But it was funny to see what that life is like. So I get that perspective idea of it. And yeah, it sounded like a rough life. But his new book, I think he has to go to Paris. He doesn't have to, but he's going to live in Paris because I think it's about an FBI agent or some criminal type thing. So he's going there, probably going to mention some local things there, some streets, some monuments. So I talked to him about that. It was really funny. He's a really cool guy. Got a picture with him. We're at the comedy club, been to a couple different ones, some theaters, some bigger arena type thing. The comedy clubs, a lot of them do it similarly when it comes to ordering and serving food. A lot of them have a two-item minimum where you have to get two items, that's what I just said, of either food or drink or mix and match them. So going there, I don't try to eat there because I don't fully trust what their kitchens are putting out. It's mostly just deep fried food, similar to like a mozzarella plate. Ugh. When I burp, there's sometimes where I hear in my head, but I don't know if people around me can hear it. I assume they don't, but maybe they do and they're disgusted by it. But sometimes I just hope they don't because it sounds gross, but it happens. There are a lot of appetizer plates, a lot of deep fried things. So I try not to eat there, and drinking is just crazy expensive. Also, usually not the highest quality of things. But I usually try to get waters there and hang out with other people around. But going there, when they charge you, they don't wait till the end when everything's done. They do it when the headliner, closer person is around halfway done with their set. They come around. Some of them give you check, you give them a card, and they come back with the check. Other of them have the hand thing, like other restaurants have. They come back with the hand thing, and it kind of it doesn't interrupt the show, but it's kind of distracting to see all these servers walking around, these bright screens on them, while you're trying to watch the person's jokes that are on stage, but it's kind of distracting watching the waitresses walk around and try to get payment from people. I don't know if there's a better way to do it. If there is, they probably would have figured it out by now because every small club that I've gone to has done it that way. I don't think it would be easy for them to wait till the end of the show because people are trying to rush out, get things going, trying to get to the next thing. So it probably might be easier for them to do it while everyone's sitting there. But I think what this club did is which they can do what they want, it's their club. I think they included gratuity in the checks before you pay, but didn't tell you about it. I think that happened, which I'm not fully a fan of included gratuity, forced gratuity. Yeah, I'm going to tip you what I think your service is worth, but I don't like being forced for it. It also happened when my wife and I went to a Thanksgiving, out to eat for Thanksgiving. Their website, oh, it's this amount of money. Okay, we went there. Oh, it was not what it said it did on the website. Then I asked them, why is this higher than what you said? Oh, gratuity's already included in it. So then I was confused by that. Why are you forcing me to pay the gratuity now? Isn't the tip supposed to be after I get the service and I tip what I feel it is? Because also with that, oh, I might have tipped above what you already forced me paying gratuities, but I don't know what percentage making gratuity. I don't know how much that was, and you're kind of forcing me to it. So that kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth of forcing me to pay above what the menu price says. If you're going to give it to your servers, you could just charge more, but then that might put people off to come to your restaurant because they see the higher prices. I heard that defense when Massachusetts was thinking of increasing the wages of the servers to above whatever they currently make. One owner said, "Oh, this will kill our industry because our prices will have to go up, and we're just gonna have to take away the tips." But for some reason, because they don't include the tip in the price, people are more willing to go there because it looks like a lower price. But I like how they have a force gratuity on there. And even if I didn't know it was on there, they might have had some small fine printing on their menu. If it was on there already, I think one of the Google reviews said, "Oh, we have it on there for like faster checkouts." It's a common thing to put. I like that. Kind of looks kind of sneaky because when you look on it, the lady's quickly scrolling through things. Oh, you got this, this, and this. Okay, this is your total. And the options for the tip are whatever amounts. But I figured out afterwards when I asked my wife, "Oh, what did you get? Like, how much does that stuff cost? Why is this so much higher?" "Oh, because you double tipped," which, okay, that's fine. I'll know it for next time I go to that place. I won't fully enjoy doing that. But it's also because you're going through there, it's like fasting. Oh, I just want to get this paid, get this waitress on to the next person so I can refocus on the comedian on the stage. So I haven't thought of a better way to do it. I don't know if you couldn't prepay because you don't know what you're going to get. I don't know if they don't want to have a station where you can walk up to it, pay it like in the middle of the show. Kind of like closing out your own tab. You go up to them and say, "Oh, we're done buying things. Like we just want to pay, so that way we don't have to do it later." That might be more distracting because throughout the show, you have people going up, people looking over, seeing if there's a line to pay or not. But also doing it at the end, you have a line of people just wanting to get out and leave and continue on their night. But also with those shows, they at smaller clubs they have two. So I usually go to the early show. The late show I know can get crazier. Crazier than like people are drinking more alcohol, saying more things. The comedians can go longer because there's no set time restriction on it. So they're able to test things out on there. But I haven't gone to one of those shows because they also start, I don't want to say super late, but I'm not necessarily a late night person because one thing, getting there, the show ending, I gotta drive back home late at night. Then the next day, I gotta get up later because I gotta make sure I get enough sleep for it, which I could try to get less, but I like having my set number of hours, try to get around 8, 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. If I go to later ones, because they would end much later in the evening. So that also might be a part of this is the waitresses going around faster at the early show because they really got to turn that room over, get the dishes put away, get people paid, get everything moved out for the next show. Because there was already a line of people waiting to get in because maybe the first show went over. So they need to get everyone out for the next show. So that could be part of it as well. But overall, like I said, it's funny, comic, and I would see him again if he was in the area. Okay. Like he has his own podcast. I don't listen to it regularly. Sometimes I do, but yeah, he's funny. I listen to other things he's on. Yeah, I hope he does bigger venues. But if not, as long as he still comes around this area, I'd be happy with that. Okay. So for this podcast, pretty huge dilemma podcast, I did make social media accounts. I was too difficult, made the YouTube account. I don't have accounts set up to post on Spotify or Apple Podcasts yet, or it's the Apple Play, Google Podcasts. I haven't set those up yet because I think that has something to do with RSS feed. I don't know what that is, but I think that's an important thing to podcasts. I think for podcasts that are on networks, the ownership of that is an important thing. I think that keeps the talent there versus if they go somewhere else, they don't have that built up feed. I haven't made that yet, but I have made them for this. They have 0 followers right now. I couldn't make them private because they're businesses. but they're private yet. I'll figure out how to post on there, clip things on there. Social media for me right now, I don't know if it's because of what age I am, but pretty much a lot of it, besides the business accounts I follow, the celebrities, some spit, the celebrities, the other shows, podcasts, basically other professional accounts, like the personal accounts of people I see, my feed is filled up with weddings and babies. I don't know fully why I could go on for this. I don't know how I could go on for, but for a longer period of time, because I cannot figure it out at all. I don't fully get why people have their personal accounts just filled with their babies. Every time I see they post something to their story, before I even click it, I think to myself, this is definitely a baby, definitely their baby. I don't know what it's going to be doing, but it's going to be something I'm not interested in. Click it. Again, it's just it laying there taking photos from a professional. They get some people get photos of this professional all the time. I don't know, are they paying for these photos? Is it not expensive? Is the photographer doing it for free? There's so many photos. Sometimes they're not, sometimes it's themselves taking a video. Couple ideas I have about this. One, why are you putting your baby all over social media? This baby has no input of what's going on there. Some of the time, I've seen the baby in the hospital with the parents or family. This baby is less than 2 days old, and you got pictures of it, obviously. But why are you posting that on social media? Don't you want this child to have some sort of privacy? Maybe not expose it to the world and everything around it. Maybe they won't let them have their personal accounts. But you're putting this kid on so many social medias for people to see. They probably have private accounts, so only certain people can see them. But I don't get why they're doing that with them. The other idea I have is I'm not really interested in what your baby's doing. Oh, your baby's 7 months now. Okay. What I started doing, I've been doing this for a little bit, is muting people when they constantly put stories up of their babies. If you put one or two like accomplishments, yeah, these babies, like I said right now, they're not even doing that big of things. They're just laying there. They're being taken to these places. They're not doing anything crazy. If they start walking, they start talking, okay, those are pretty big accomplishments that they might want to put on there for other people to see. But if you're just not doing anything with them and it's nothing special, I just mute them, which I've muted a number of people even before this thing for other reasons. I was just not interested in it, but also don't want to decrease my following account. I think I did that. Most of the accounts that are unmuted are the celebrity ones or people that I'm very close with. So I don't want to unfollow people necessarily. Sometimes I do, depending on the relationship I have. If I ever see them in person before, if I ever see the person again in person, I don't necessarily unfollow them. But I've muted a number of people. Sometimes just their stories, sometimes just their posts. But I've done that throughout. If they're posting babies constantly, they're out. Even before it gets posted, some of them post pregnancy things every couple months. Those pregnancy shoots, I hope my wife doesn't want to do those. She probably will. I don't know. Again, that's probably another girl brain thing. I don't know why they want to get photos taken. All the girls subconscious of their stomachs being too big, but then once they get a baby, they can't keep that thing hidden. It's I don't have it out there for everyone to see. And they have their husband, fiance, boyfriend just staying there, heads together, both looking down at the baby. Okay, if it's the announcement of it, okay, sure, that's cool. It's a big life thing. But every couple weeks, oh, this is 6 months. Oh, this is 7 months. I think you get one post, which again, social media, they can do whatever. But if you do more than that, just know that you're muted. I'm not listening to it anymore. I haven't seen it yet, but some of them might have accounts specifically for that baby already, where that'd be that's kind of a funny thing to have. Oh, baby. Oh, I just had my first taste of real food today. Oh, I just went on this big road trip. That'd be kind of funny if you wrote captions in the form of baby where they have no clue whatsoever what's going on, but you put captions on there like they said it. I guess that's what some parents do with their kids once they get older, trying to promote them for things. That's not as funny. That feels more exploitive to them. I think that's the right word for it. Rather than babies, because if it was babies, it'd just be kind of funny writing it in their name. Because they're not trying to get anything out of it. But once they get to a certain age and they start to know what's going on, I don't think parents should be posted for their kids. They can, whatever. I'm not a parent yet. We'll see when or if that day happens. We'll see. That was the other thing I had. Okay, so I have a longer list. I'm not going to go through all of them. I don't want this going super long. I'll try to keep it shorter than I did the first one. The social media accounts for babies. I've had that idea, feeling about them for a while. Because, yeah, great, congrats. But I don't need it all over my feed. I want something that makes me funny. That's funny, makes me laugh. If there are funny captions on it, okay, yeah, that'd be more interesting. But I don't need that right now. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thanks for listening to the Pretty Huge Dilemma podcast. Make sure you follow on social media, PH Dilemma Pod, then share if you think someone else will be interested in it. If you have ideas, I will be in the comment section. There are other podcast celebrities as get bigger. They can't read through all the comments. They probably shouldn't because they probably have a bunch of negative ones where this can't stop thinking about the negative ones. But at least at the beginning, I'll definitely be in those comments, reading them and all that, seeing if you have any ideas, topics, suggestions, how to improve this, how to make it larger, how to make it better in general. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.